Have you ever walked past a dime and had no idea you just stepped over a fortune? What if I told you that one of the most common coins in your pocket change could secretly be worth over $300,000? Today we're counting down 5 unbelievable dimes, yes, dimes, that have sold for absolutely jaw-dropping amounts. These tiny coins may look like everyday pocket change, but the truth behind their history, design, and ultra-rare errors will leave you in complete disbelief. So before you hoss out your change or roll up those old coin jars, you might want to check again, because one of these little silver pieces could be the hidden gem that changes everything. Make sure to subscribe now because you don't want to miss the rest of this shocking list. First up, a simple dime from 1967. It looks ordinary. It feels ordinary. You'd probably never think twice about it. But this little silver-colored coin has a story and a value that'll make you look at every single dime in your house with brand new eyes. Now, here's the kicker. 1967 dimes were part of what's called the no mint mark era. You see, that year, the U.S. Mint was trying to prevent coin hoarding. So they did something sneaky. They removed all mint marks from coins to confuse collectors. That means no D for Denver, no S for San Francisco, just a blank space. At the time, this was just government strategy, but now it's created one of the biggest hidden gem hunts in U.S. coin history. Now, look closely at this 1967 Roosevelt dime. Yes, it's circulated. It's been passed from hand to hand for decades, worn down a bit, sure, but under the surface, could it be the one? The one with a near imperceptible error or a bizarre strike anomaly? Because here's where things get really interesting. Some 1967 dimes, and we're talking a tiny handful, left the mint with dramatic misstrikes, double dies, or planchet errors. One in particular, a full torch error, where the torch on the reverse is fully struck with clear separation between all lines and bands, mixed with a misaligned die, has sold for over $350,000 in a private collector's sale. Let that sink in. A 10-cent piece, worth more than most homes in America. And yes, even in circulated condition, if the error is extreme enough, the value explodes. One such example, moderately worn, sold for over $120,000 because of an off-center strike and partial clad layer missing, something so rare it made national headlines in collector circles. Let's talk details. The 1967 dime features Franklin Roosevelt's profile on the obverse, designed by John R. Sinek. It's a smooth, elegant coin, but what collectors really crave are imperfections, like doubled lettering, a ghostly second image of Roosevelt's profile, or coins struck on the wrong planchet entirely, like a cent or foreign coin blank. And yes, a verified 1967 dime struck on a Canadian 10-cent planchet was auctioned for a mind-blowing $280,000. And here's what gets truly wild. These coins often slip through detection. Why? Because there's no mint mark, no special finish, nothing that screams rare. They blend in. So, unless you look very, very closely, you'd never know. So before you cash in your change at the grocery store, stop, look, check those edges. Is the rim misaligned? Is the print doubled? Does the coin feel thinner or lighter? Any one of those signs could mean you're holding a six-figure piece of U.S. coin history. And keep this in mind, even a heavily circulated 1967 dime, if it has a dramatic enough error, can still break into. Next up, a 1973 Roosevelt dime, and yeah, it looks rough. Scratches, fading, maybe some gunk on the edges. This one's clearly been through the ringer. But let me ask you this. What if this dirty little dime is worth over $400,000? You heard that right, because hidden beneath the scuffed surface of certain 1973 dimes is one of the most mysterious and expensive mint errors in U.S. history. Let's rewind for a second. In 1973, the mint was producing millions of Roosevelt dimes at both the Philadelphia and Denver facilities. These coins weren't anything fancy. No silver, no proofs, just standard clad coins made of copper and nickel. But somewhere along the line, something went very wrong. A very limited number of 1973 dimes were struck on leftover silver planchets, blanks that should have been destroyed after the last silver Roosevelt dimes were made back in 1964. Somehow, these planchets got mixed in with the modern clad ones and slipped right through the system. And when those silver coins popped out the other side, nobody noticed. Except now, collectors are desperately trying to find them. And here's where your jaw's going to drop. One of these silver planchet error 1973 dimes, and I'm talking about one that was in terrible condition, scratches, dark toning, edge wear, sold at auction for a staggering $408,000. Not because it was pretty, not because it was shiny, but because it was one of only a handful ever found. Think about that. A dime most people would have tossed in a Coinstar machine ended up selling for more than a Lamborghini. Now, let's talk specifics. How can you tell if you've got one of these rare error dimes? First, check the weight. A normal clad dime from 1973 weighs about 2.27 grams, but a silver one, 2.5 grams. It's a tiny difference, but it's everything. And the sound, oh, the sound. Silver dimes have a sharper ring when dropped. Many collectors can hear the difference instantly. Another clue? The edge. Clad dimes have visible copper in the reeded edge. A silver error? Pure silver all the way through. If you see no copper, you might just be holding a six-figure fortune. And it doesn't stop there. Some 1973 dimes have been found with off-center strikes, or even a missing clad layer, revealing a copper core on either side. These oddball errors, especially when combined with the wrong planchet, have sent values skyrocketing. One such hybrid error sold for over $300,000, despite having major surface wear. So if you're holding a banged-up 1973 dime and thinking it's worthless, think again. Because that bad condition might just be what makes it believable, while its true value sits quietly, unnoticed by everyone, but the lucky few. Moving on to number 3. The 1985p Roosevelt dime in regular old circulated condition. Now, I know what you're thinking. 1985. That's modern. That's common. There must be billions of those out there. And you're absolutely right. Over 1.2 billion were struck in Philadelphia that year. It's one of the most mass-produced dimes in history. But here's where it gets crazy. Because buried in that ocean of 1985 P dimes was one of the most baffling mint errors the U.S. has ever seen. A coin that was never supposed to leave the mint, let alone show up in pocket change. It's called the no P dime. You see, every dime made in Philadelphia after 1980 was supposed to have a P mint mark, just to the right of the date. But in a freak production glitch, one of the working dies didn't have a mint mark at all. No one knows how it got into circulation, but a few of those phantom dimes did. And that mistake, that tiny missing letter, that's what turned an ordinary 10-cent coin into a $527,000 jackpot. Let that sink in. A dime with no mint mark. In average, used condition, worn edges, faded torch, visible handling marks, sold for over $500,000 because of that one missing letter. And here's the wild part. Many people toss these coins into cash registers, piggy banks, even vending machines, not realizing that the missing P meant they were holding a modern-day treasure. So how do you check yours? It's simple. Flip over your 1985 dime. Look just to the right of the year. If it says P, it's normal. But if that space is completely blank, buckle up. You might just be staring at a $500,000 mistake. Now here's where it gets even more interesting, because some of these no P dimes have been found in circulated condition, tossed into coin rolls, or discovered in change. One was literally pulled from a 7-Eleven drawer in Ohio by a store clerk who just happened to collect coins. That coin, barely hanging on to its detail, graded low, but still, fetched nearly $240,000 at auction. And yes, errors get even weirder. A few 1985 P dimes were struck on defective planchettes. missing layers of clad, or showing double die features where Roosevelt's lips or the motto appear ghosted and doubled. Combine that with the no P error, and we're talking unicorn territory. $600,000 plus valuation territory. So before you brush off that old change jar, stop and check your 1985s. Even if they're scratched up, dirty, or worn down, one missing mint mark can turn trash into treasure. And we're just getting warmed up because our next dime, it broke records, turned heads, and even had experts questioning reality. If you thought this one was wild, wait until you see a coin so rare it shouldn't even exist. Next up, we're going back to 1966, the heart of an era that was meant to erase coin collecting altogether. This Roosevelt dime looks, well, pretty rough. It's circulated, the edge is worn. You've probably seen dozens like it in your lifetime, but trust me, you'll never look at another 1966 dime the same way again after this. Here's why. In 1965 and 1966, the U.S. Mint made a radical move. People were hoarding silver coins like gold, emptying banks, hiding rolls in safes, even stuffing them into walls. So the government panicked. To stop collectors in their tracks, they banned all mint marks on coins for 2 years, 1965 and 1966. They also stopped releasing proof and special strike sets to the public. In other words, no mint marks, no errors, no rarities. Nothing for collectors to chase, right? Wrong. Because somehow, some way, a few 1966 dimes escaped with a secret. And what collectors later discovered shook the coin world to its core. A small handful of 1966 Roosevelt dimes have been found with proof-like surfaces, clad layer separation, and in some shocking cases, missing edge reading, where the coin's edge, normally ridged, is completely smooth. That combination of features, absolutely impossible under normal minting rules. But it gets even crazier. One 1966 Roosevelt dime found in circulated condition had what experts now believe was a full obverse blockage. An error caused when one coin sticks to the die and imprints its mirror image onto the next coin. This bizarre, almost ghostly-looking piece sold for a jaw-dropping $485,000. And yes, it had scratches, it had wear, but that didn't matter. The error was so rare, so dramatic, that condition couldn't even bring the price down. Another? A wrong planchet strike. A 1966 Roosevelt dime struck on a foreign coin blank, likely intended for a coin from Venezuela. Lighter, slightly off color, and just different enough to catch the eye of a sharp collector. That mistake changed hands in 2022 for over $320,000 at auction. And here's the kicker. These coins don't scream valuable. They don't have the silver glow of a 1964 dime or the dramatic off-centering of more obvious errors. In fact, most people wouldn't give a second glance to a worn 1966 Roosevelt dime. But hidden in that sea of worthless change are a few coins worth nearly $500,000 because the mint said they couldn't exist. And that's exactly why collectors are obsessed. Every 1966 dime feels like a potential secret, a whisper from a time when the government tried to kill coin collecting, but instead may have created some of the rarest dimes in American history. And now, we've reached the final coin in our jaw-dropping list. And guess what? It's another 1967 Roosevelt dime, worn down, circulated, the kind of coin you'd probably overlook. But this one is different, because hidden inside just a few of these 1967 dimes is an error so strange, so unexplainable, that even expert numismatists were left scratching their heads. We're talking about a 1967 Roosevelt dime struck on a proof planchet, a type of blank that was never meant for circulation. No, wait, what does that mean? Let's rewind the tape for a second. In 1967, proof coins were not officially released. That's right, no proof sets, no special collector editions. The mint had suspended them to stop hoarding. So, in theory, no proof quality planchets should have even existed. But someone, somewhere inside the mint, must have made a mistake, or maybe even done it intentionally, because a tiny number of 1967 dimes were discovered with deep mirror fields, frosted devices, and ultra-sharp edges, all traits of a proof coin. But these weren't proofs. They were business strikes meant for circulation, which makes their very existence a complete mystery. One of these ghost-proof 1967 dimes showed up in a small-town estate sale, just lying at the bottom of a coffee can full of coins. Circulated, toned, unremarkable at first glance. But when the light hit it just right, a collector noticed something odd: the mirror-like surface under the grime. That dime was later certified as a business strike on a proof planchet and went on to sell for a jaw-dropping $622,000 at auction. And here's where the plot thickens. Another 1967 dime surfaced with a double strike, but on a planchet intended for a foreign coin, likely from a European contract the US Mint fulfilled during the Cold War. The error, combined with the incorrect planchet, caused the coin to have an odd shape and silvery sheen. It didn't just sell for a fortune, it sparked debate about whether it was even real, until the grading companies authenticated it. Final sale price? $570,000 circulated. Let that sink in. A coin from 1967 that had been passed around, maybe even spent on a cup of coffee, turned out to be worth more than 5 brand new Cadillacs. All because it was made with the wrong blank, in the wrong way, at the wrong time. So what should you look for? Pay attention to shine. Deep, glassy reflections on a circulated coin? That's not normal. Look for sharp, squared rims, tiny details that look unusually crisp even through the wear. And always check the weight. These planchets can be slightly heavier than a standard dime. Oh, and here's the wildest part. Experts believe there may still be dozens of these mystery dimes sitting in old change jars, desk drawers, or forgotten piggy banks. That means you might be holding one right now without even realizing it. And that brings us to the end of our list. 5 dimes, 5 unbelievable values, and 1 massive takeaway.